Hey, welcome to Impress the Boss. I'm Catherine.
I'm Laurel.
And I'm Valerie.
And we're here to help you stand out without working overtime. This week on Impress the Boss, we're talking about Bobby-Parton. Now, if you've been listening to us, you know we are looking at these characters each week, these Bobs. If you're new to us, go to impresstheboss.com. You can see all our Bob characters there. So this week, we'll talk through who Bobby-Parton is, a use case, and then some questions to think about to help you impress your boss and stand out without working overtime. So Bobby-Parton obviously is a play on Dolly Parton, right? So sweet as tea, nice as heck, but heels do not slow her down. That's right.
That's because she's working 9 to 5.
So, this type of personality really brings a lot to the table. So a lot of creative ideas, but a perfectionist at heart. So, I mean,
I'm pretty sure this is an Enneagram 1.
Yeah, you got that one. So I think some challenges the Enneagram 1, yes, but Bobby-Parton deals with is this idea of, conceptually they know where they want to go, but the execution has got to just be on point. Right. Now, if other people aren't delivering to that point, there could be some micromanaging, there could be, some manipulation to get people to the point that they want them. Sometimes this personality, they're nice, they're liked as people, but they could be difficult personalities to work with in the office because there's such an exacting standard that you're trying to measure against. Laura, I know that this is very positive personality, but has some challenges, personally.
Yes, this one hits home for me. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that I'm a Bobby-Parton for sure. I certainly have received feedback that people like to work with me, but or like me, but don't like to work with me. They like me as a person, but don't love actually working with me.
We love working with you
so much.
Well, maybe it's because I'm the Bob Ross with the with the rose-colored glasses.
That's right, for sure. Yeah, so I think I absolutely relate to this one and have experienced the goods and the bads of it, for sure. I have been in positions prior to what I am currently where that was highly prized and in a performance-based culture where you are driving toward results, you want someone who has their eye on perfection and on creating excellence and, is really focused on those details. But there can be times like others that I have experienced where, people feel like I'm keeping a list of their wrongdoings and am, making note of every mistake that they make and am causing them to feel incompetent, those sorts of things. So I think, there can be that experience that others have with the Dolly Parton that is that, helicopter or micromanaging, element of things. So and I think for me, it comes from this place of I hold myself to an incredibly high standard, and I have since I was a little kid. And so looking at it from that standpoint of recognizing that just because I hold myself to that high of a standard doesn't mean that I necessarily should be holding others to that same standard. And so I think, that is some of the ways that I have worked through this in certain circumstances and still do bring to my own attention and my own awareness of saying, okay, you just need to let go. This is something that, this person just needs to grow through and experience. And it's a mistake that is not going to be the end of the world and, isn't going to be, detrimental in the big scheme of things. And so keeping that maybe big picture perspective has been helpful at times for me as well. Sure. Just to think about, what does that look like to back off, take a deep breath, slow down, know that, it can't all be perfect. It won't all be perfect. I think that has been another good one for me of what is the difference between perfection and excellence and being able to, identify those, look at those, differentiate those from one another and just, really wanting the best for other people, knowing that, I have had times when people have extended immense grace to me as I have grown, and that I need to do the same for others. So, and just, I think maybe again, keeping that big picture perspective in mind. I know I can tend to get focused on too many details and get too wrapped up in, just all of the little things. And that takes the sight off of the bigger plan, bigger picture.
Right.
One thing that we've really talked about over the course of our friendship is, and in establishing Impress the Boss itself, was this concept of when is good enough good enough?
Yes.
And it's this idea that's really a theme throughout a lot of the productivity books right now that are very popular, is just get the job done. So how do you go get the work done and be okay with the fact that there's going to be flaws, with the fact that it's at 80%?
Yeah.
And it's really contrary, especially for a Bobby-Parton, to say, wait, 80%'s okay, because in reality, your 80% is someone else's 120%.
That's right.
And so understanding that difference, I think, is very crucial to know how to succeed as a Bobby-Parton.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that, of recognizing capacity levels of people.
And I think too, just with all three of us, this, even where we're at right now, we all three have a tendency of having that high standard perfectionist in us. And it's been challenging. It's been challenging even today to, sit down and to record and to do a podcast and to be okay with a little bit of non-perfection. And, does my hair look okay? Or does my voice sound okay? Or, I mispronounced something, And it's just getting to that point. Okay, it's all right. We're not going to get our feathers all wrinkled up about it, and we're just going to get it out there, and so be it.
That's right. Yeah. Great reminder.
But that's actually something you have, especially those of us that have, as you mentioned, we all have that perfectionism. You actually have to try to be okay with something that's not okay.
Yes, and it's difficult.
Right? It's difficult.
It's
it's
really
work.
difficult.
So,
And I appreciate just the examples that Laurel has shared about just her behaviors of a Bobby-Parton. And so as you are listening to this episode today, what are the signs of a Bobby-Parton? What can you ask to see if you are becoming one? And I guess the first question would be, do you get your feathers wrinkled or ruffled when things don't go your way, when you want something to be a certain way? As mentioned before, you have a vision, you have a certain idea, and if it doesn't go the way you want it to go, how are you going to react to that?
Yeah.
And are you okay with just 80%, and especially if, as Catherine mentioned before, if somebody's 120% is what they offer, but yet your standard is so high, you can maybe be overlooking what that teammate or that colleague is bringing. They really are bringing everything. They're all in, but because of your expectations and work ethic, maybe you're shortchanging them. And another great question would be, are you okay with being a non-perfectionist that at times, like with an example with, what we're doing and how we're launching off Impress the Boss? Are you okay with when things do not go 100% your way? Another thing too, Laurel, that I'm sure you have some experience in will be delegating. Mm-hmm. So another question is are you able to delegate? And sometimes it's kind of hard when we want control over a project or an idea, and it's hard to delegate. Mm-hmm. And I think those are great questions to ask to see if you are a Dolly Parton. And the great thing is if you are, continue just to hold on tight with us, because we'll show you some tips and ways of turning that around.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think if you identify with being a Bobby-Parton, you should sometimes, I know I'm not supposed to give tips away. You're supposed to look at them online, but I think you should just do something this week that you fail at, right? And just be okay that it's completely a disaster, and just try it. I mean, because most of your life is okay. You can try one thing that just you really struggle with.
Right.
Anyway.
That's right.
And what I can't remember who quoted this last week, but they said most masters become disasters, or whatever. It's like you have to first experience a disaster to become a master.
Yeah.
And I think with that too is another good question is, are you okay when other people, do you let and allow other people to make mistakes?
That's right.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Absolutely. So some good thoughts for this week. We'd love to hear your feedback and your experiences. Hashtag Impress the Boss. Thanks for sharing this time with us as we talked about Bobby-Parton. We'll see you next week. Hey, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you listening in. If you'd like to learn more about the Bobs, go to impressiveboss.com, where you will see all our Bob characters and hopefully find one that you relate to as well. While you're there, subscribe to be part of our crew and you'll get our free tool download. Also, follow us on social, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook for our daily standout tips. Thanks for joining, and until next time,
Bob's out.